There you can see the actual water is running into the bowl via the internal overflow. And if we take a look in the tank there, you can see that the water's come above the level of the water inlet valve and is dripping down the internal overflow. So we're going to take a look at the water inlet valve. So the first thing we're going to do is isolate the water by turning off this isolation valve. Now we're just going to flush the toilet to get rid of the water that's in the cistern. And then we can remove the lid. On this particular model you can actually split this piece of plastic so that you can pull it off. If you press down on that, it should pull off like that. To remove a flush valve on a model like this, it's very easy. All you need to do is get hold of it and turn it anti-clockwise. And then you should be able to lift it straight out of its mounting point. We're going to change this water inlet valve for a better make one, because this one's not very good and it's never been much good since the day it was put in. So the first thing we need to do is get all the water out of the bottom of the tank. And to do that we're going to use a sponge. If we put the sponge into the water to soak up the water and then squeeze it over where the flush valve goes, it'll go directly into the toilet bowl. Now that we've drained any remaining water out of the bottom of the cistern, we need to undo the nut on the outside now, which is holding this water inlet valve in. So we've just got a couple of nuts to undo now. We've got that one to undo, which is connecting the service valve onto the inlet valve, and then this plastic one. When we undo this nut, there will be quite a bit of water coming out because it's what's left in the water inlet valve inside the toilet. So we're just going to put a towel around the bottom just to collect any water that drips out. Whenever you undo a valve like this, it's important that you support it with a pair of water pump pliers. Now the part's been disconnected from the inlet valve. So now all we need to do is undo this nut and then we can get the old valve out. Now that we've removed the nut from the other side, we can just pull the water inlet valve straight out. This is the old water inlet valve that we've taken out. It's not immediately obvious how we actually service that kind of valve. And to be honest, it's not lasted that long at all. It's only been in there for probably 12-18 months. So the best bet with something like that is to just scrap it and get a new one. So we've got a similar model which will fit exactly the same. This is a Torbeck valve, and it is height adjustable, so you can turn that and you can actually adjust the height of it by pulling it to the correct height and then locking the nut. Before we fit the new valve, we're just going to give it a wipe with the towel where the new valve's going to be seated so that it seals properly. Now we've removed the nut from the end and we've put the washer on there the correct way. Now we're going to put that in the tank the correct way around, and then we can just tighten the nut from underneath. So with a plastic nut like that, if you just tighten it by hand and then just give it 3/4 of a turn with a spanner, because what you don't want to do is over tighten it. And now we can connect the service valve back up to it. It's important that you make sure that sealing washer's in place, that fibre washer. And then again, you can hold the service valve and then tighten up the nuts. Once you fit the valve, you need to make sure that it's adjusted so that we get the correct amount of water in the tank. So to do that, we undo this screw here, and then we can lift the valve up until we get the correct height, and then you can screw the screw shut again by turning it clockwise. Now we need to adjust the amount of water that it lets into the tank. So in order to do that, we're just going to pop this little bit off this arm, and then if we pull that up, we can just screw it in by hand. By turning it clockwise. And then we can just click it back in. Once you've fitted the valve, you can open the isolation valve again, just to check that there are no leaks. So we only need to open it briefly, just to let a little bit of water in there. So we've fitted the valve now, we've tightened the nut underneath, and we've just let a little bit of water run into the tank, just to test that it's not leaking anywhere, and it isn't. So the next thing to do is put the actual flush valve back in. So now the flush valve's back in, we can now turn the water on and see what kind of water level we're going to get. And as you can see, it's now filling to the correct level. So that's how to replace a compact water inlet valve. It's important when you've fitted the valve that you check around here for any leaks afterwards. So just give it a good wipe with a towel and make sure there's absolutely no water on, and then just keep checking it to ensure that you have no leaks.